What is going on, RotoGrinders? Dean here. 2 hours of nonstop NBA DFS conversation. It starts right now. Myself, Bobby Gomes, former $1 million winner. We're going to take you up to crunch time. Crunch time comes at around 6:20 or so get comfortable. You got us for 80 minutes. We yield to crunch time. That is TJ Zwarych, one of the greatest DFS players in all of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, as well as you got Will and Keith. Bobby, we can certainly fill some time. This worked out so well yesterday that people will tell you in chat for sure. We may bring up Mr. Perfecto might make another appearance. We'll see. I know you were watching the show. You're a big fan when you're not on, so surely you know what that is. It's not going to catch you off guard in any way. What's up, Bobby? How's your day? How's Tuesday treating you? Just a 6-gamer, kind of a relaxed slate. But the thing is, the slates the sites could have said screw those last 2 games because they're. It's kind of chopped in 2, right? 4 games earlier, 2 games late. They've been doing that, but the bigger slates. This is not a big boy slate. It's just 6 games, so I think it's kind of good that they kept. I think it's good they kept the last 2 games. It's probably past your bedtime, but hopefully you'll either stay up or there's no late scratches. I don't know. Welcome to the show, Bobby.
Yeah, it's definitely past my bedtime. I heard you had a slip up yesterday, Dean. I don't know what that was all about, Mr. Perfecto, or
yeah, Mr. Perfecto. You've heard of the Magic 8 Ball, right? This is like if you don't have an extra $3 for the Magic 8 Ball, you buy the bootleg Mr. Perfecto, and I saw it on Amazon. And I couldn't resist. I actually bought both, but I guess it takes like 2 weeks or so for Amazon to deliver the Magic 8 Ball, and I'm like, all right, let's see what Mr. Perfecto has to offer, and he can answer yes or no questions, and it worked so well yesterday that maybe we'll use it again today. Who knows? We'll see. It didn't work well, for the record.
Yeah, it's probably different for the chat today. Getting a reprieve from Tim, and getting myself on the show.
Upgrade or downgrade? What's the chat think? We shouldn't do this. There's nothing positive can come of that. But you started it, I suppose.
So I have a question. Did you watch Saltburn? You said you ended up watching it, right?
Yeah, on your recommendation, and I know it was on like a lot of best of lists. I did watch Saltburn on the Amazon. It's got what's the actor's name that you love? Barry Keoghan. He's an up and comer. He's really good in American Animals that nobody saw. He's good in a lot of things that nobody saw. Yeah, I thought it was very good. It was kind of talented Mr. Ripley-esque. I think I saw somebody in chat mention that too, and I was like, yeah, not exactly the same. Not as good as talented Mr. Ripley. That's a spectacular movie.
Not as good. How do you think he's going to be as the next Joker? Is what I've been trying to. He plays like a crazy psychopath in that, and I feel like there's instances where you can see like the brilliance of them making him the Joker for the next Batman in it. He kind of looks like the cartoon of, I guess, the Joker. I don't know. I'm interested to see how he's going to play that. That's basically what I've been watching, trying to figure out if he's going to be a good Joker or not. Because I think
he'll be good. Yeah, I think he's just like a legit, like just good actor. Yeah. I don't remember seeing him in The Killing of a Sacred Deer. I remember liking that movie. That movie was kind of wild. Not for everybody, but if you ever seen it before, that's a wild movie. It's hard to recommend, but it's pretty. It's interesting. You might really like it. It's kind of a contrarian GPP upside, but I can definitely see people being turned off by it. And the Banshees of Inisherin, he was like the 3rd or 4th lead in that. And I know it was critically acclaimed, but a lot of people thought that was Stan Van Gundy hated it. He went in this whole rant about how bored he was. He said it was like the worst movie he ever saw, but I liked it. I don't know if you saw Banshees last year. Colin Farrell, Irish movie. Did you see that?
I didn't see it. I didn't see Banshees. I heard of both movies though. I didn't see either. I
think it's good. I don't. Yeah, some people might think it's kind of a slow burn, but no pun on Saltburn, which is also a slow burn. It takes a while to get there, but TJ in chat chiming in. TJ, he has some thoughts as far as him being the Joker. He says he thinks he can be incredible. I just can't get over the accent. Well, I assume he changes the accent. I'm guessing so. I don't know. I haven't heard the accent. Or did he? Now, was he in the final? I don't want to. He was in the final scene of the last Batman. Is that correct?
He was in the final and the deleted. The issue is for me was getting past like whatever they did to his like face to make him. He looks like he's deformed almost. So it's like I was trying to get past that when I was rewatching it.
I haven't given it a rewatch.
It'll be very good.
I trust they know what they're doing though. Like I thought the first, the reboot Batman was very good. Obviously, it's not fair to compare it to Nolan stuff. Nolan is just like on a different level. So I don't want to do that. They all been pretty good though. Like in some, the Nolan stuff is spectacular. But
did you hear the Nolan? They're coming out with another Nolan. Or was that fake or was that legitimate?
That might have been fake because I was looking for. I hit up in Google. I saw somebody talking about that on Twitter, but I think we might have fell for something. I'm not sure, but when was that news put out there? Because
like a week ago, I saw it.
Yeah, I don't think Nolan's working on another Batman movie. That'd be great, but I don't think that's happening. Yeah, okay. TJ letting us know in chat as well. That was not real. Yeah, I saw that and I'm like, then I went to Google and I couldn't find anything. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
I couldn't find anything either. I was looking for like YouTube for stuff on YouTube that I can watch, but no one really came with anything. So definitely,
if you can buy stock though, if you can buy stock in an actor, this Barry Keoghan, he's not only going to be in the next Batman, more featured role. He's also going to be in the prequel to Gladiator 2. So I'm curious.
I'm not excited to see that movie at all.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to watch it though, right?
I'm going to watch it. Yeah, I'm going to see it. I just don't think I'm going to like it. I feel like a reboot of that movie is kind of.
Well, it's not a reboot. Not to be all technical with you, but it's a prequel, so it's not. They're not telling the story again. I'm guessing they're going to tell like the Maximus story when he's younger. I assume.
Okay, that makes it interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess that makes more sense.
So I don't know if that changes things or makes you want to see it more or less. But
it took you 2 decades to see the first one, so.
It did take me a while. I've explained before why it took me forever to see it, but yes, that is correct. Chop just saw Die Hard the other day for the first time. He took him like 35 years to watch Die Hard.
I was surprised by that because Die Hard's like the type of movie Head Chopper would be fascinated by, right? Like, just he loves Fast and the Furious.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
So you're judging him when you say that. By the way, I hear it in your voice. You're judging Chop the way you're saying he likes Fast and the Furious. You're kind of judging him,
basically, right? I wouldn't say I'm judging him. I just judging his taste in movies. I guess,
that is, fair enough. And I asked him, I said, now do you want to see like Die Hard 2, Die Hard with a Vengeance? He's like, no, I'm good. Like, they're not bad. The sequels are not bad. For the most part, they're all pretty good, I think. Anyways, we probably should dive in. It's a 6-gamer. We got plenty of time to pace ourselves. Chat, we did say hello. Do hit that like button. Do you subscribe? Turn on those notifications. Join the conversation. Ask Mr. Perfecto a yes or no question. We may work that in. We'll give it another shot. 6-gamer, like we said, Embiid's back tonight. A lot of awesome studs. As far as real basketball, Bobby, I'm like, I know you're not a Celtic fan, but I'm just like really excited to watch Boston OKC. Like, I think that's going to be an awesome game tonight. 2 of the best teams in the league. Potential finals preview. That wouldn't shock me if these teams end up against each other. Everybody's healthy, right? It's that should be a spectacular basketball game. I don't know if you're excited to watch such things. If you're gonna, I'm not a Boston fan. I like OKC. They're one of my fringe. If I had to adopt a team, like OKC is definitely a team I'll root for. Just kind of like the way they do things there. SGA, spectacular, just a fun team all around. But we get Embiid back, and there's just not a lot of value. We even have Rozier, who was expected not to play in the back half of back-to-back. He was ill last night. Upgraded to probable. And this is like the story of the season, or many slates this season. There are some exceptions, but we have just basically no value on the slate. We have studs that look spectacular as far as just their individual price, but they're just hard to get. And that's where we're at. And as we see things right now, Bobby, Mark Williams, are you sitting down, Bobby? Mark Williams is doubtful tonight for the 11th straight game. He's doubtful. The Hornets, just the worst organization in the league. Just at least act as if like you're a part of the NBA and you care about anything. You wonder why you get no free agents, like no real free agents ever going to come there.
Well, they're in Charlotte, Dean.
But at least pretend, like play the role, play the part. You got to overspend for Terry Rozier. It's not because you're this incompetent and this inept and you don't care about the little things, but it doesn't help. At least pretend you're a part of the NBA. At least pretend you're in the same league as the Lakers and the Knicks and the Heat and storied franchises and the legacy. And it's just embarrassing. It's just an embarrassing. Again, this is just a little sort of microcosm, but just nobody takes you seriously because you don't take yourself seriously. It's a poverty franchise. Charlotte's
They have great 90s uniforms, I would say.
I mean, they feel so expansion-esque. Who do you picture first? Who's the first guy you picture in that uniform? First name. What do you got?
Muggsy Bogues.
That's a good name. Yeah, I was thinking LJ, Larry Johnson, or Alonzo, but Muggsy's right there too.
I was always fascinated by Muggsy because he was he's a short fellow, but he was very talented.
Yeah. Greg Dortch, I think, is taller than Muggsy Bogues, I'm pretty sure.
Greg Dortch, 80 yards on Sunday. Didn't get in the box, but 80 yards.
Tyrone Muggsy Bogues was, I think, like 5'5", just spectacular. I don't know if we'll ever see another Muggsy Bogues. I was watching the Pacers last night, and I was watching like TJ McConnell, and I was thinking about like how this guy sticks around in the league because he can't shoot and he's got no size, right? It's like, and it's just like the effort stuff, right? Like this player, I don't know if you saw a play where he dove out of bounds and say, "What's that?"
He's like if I had to compare him to anyone, I'd compare him to Tim.
How so? Why would you compare him to Tim?
Just brings a lot of effort, you know.
Yeah. Like I know it's the cliche, like he's gritty and whatever, but that's what, because he can't shoot the ball, and he's not tall. Bugsy, by the way, I gave him some inches. He's actually 5'3", which is just amazing, truly amazing that he survived so long in the league, like 10 years or so running an offense. There's Tim hanging out in chat. Tim gives 100% effort for sure. You gonna match that effort? Tim laid the groundwork. He set the bar. Do you plan on you could do 110? I've heard people say it before. I'm not really sure how they do it, but you think you can ramp it up to 110% effort today?
I could ramp it up to 110% today. Yeah, for sure. We're trying to give people the winners, you know.
Yeah, we're gonna figure it out as we go along. Like I said, 6-gamer, 4 early, 2 late. As far as back-to-back stuff, the only team in the back half of a back-to-back is Charlotte. The front half at Chicago. There's a lot of teams in the front half. Chicago, Memphis, the Nets, the Pelicans, the Thunder, the Magic, and the Kings. Yeah. All right. Some potential blowouts as well, right? A couple, Memphis is a 10-point favorite, 11-point favorite over San Antonio. I guess that's the only one, right? No, I was thinking, the Kings. I forgot about the Kings being like 16-point favorites, 15-point favorites against Charlotte. I think the line was at a point in the favor of Charlotte when Rozier was announced in. But and like 2 late games. Do you have any sort of philosophy, any sort of thought as far as lineup construction? 4 early, 2 late, 1 at 7. We got an hour, 3 games at 8, and then we wait 2 hours, and we have Orlando, Golden State, Charlotte, Sacramento. But again, news-wise, stay alert, stay aware, understand how things go in the NBA sometimes, but there's really nothing there. Sacramento, clean report. Charlotte, it's going to be shocking, but I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to officially Mark Williams is not going to play. He's going to be ruled out at some point. He's not playing basketball tonight. Charlotte Hornets, disaster.
Yeah, it's a pretty clean injury report. Trey Murphy, I think he's still questionable.
That's it, right? Is that basically
pretty much it, right? Yeah. I guess it would give a slight
was he?
What?
How impactful was Trey Murphy?
Like, I think he would slightly boost Ingram, McCollum, and Zion if he were out. Marshall and Nance. Nance played well the other night, so yeah, it's nothing crazy, but it just might open up some slight value. I would say, Dean, some slight value.
You mentioned the Nance thing. Is Nance? I think Nance is just playing direct backup for Valanciunas, and it's like one of those. It's basically the Atlanta situation. Well, the traditional Atlanta situation with Capella and Okongwu, right?
Where they're just splitting it.
Yeah, I think they're just chopping the 48 up. Nance is the backup center there. 26 and 22, as it looks like we're currently projecting with Valanciunas and Nance. We do have Markelle Fultz is questionable, but is Suggs or Anthony all of a sudden going to be spectacular? Nope, not according to the if-then stuff. Doesn't mean you can't play them, but they don't like instantly become like these big values. I think we have one more. Yeah, we have Terry Rozier written up, but again, Rozier now expected to play, so that's probably. Well, I suppose we can still get it swapped out. And it was an illness, but I guess if they upgraded to available, I assume he's feeling better. Otherwise, what else should we say as far as the slate? Oh, go ahead, Bobby.
I guess on slates like this, like people are funneled to like that one value play, which to me looks like Trace Jackson Davis at 4-6.
Yeah.
Currently, we're showing him for 50% ownership and only 37% chance to be optimal. So probably going to come in under his ownership, I would say. We're gonna need to find players like within that range that we can kind of pivot to, and that's going to be an issue. So
that's your job. I'm tasking you with that. I'm the host. I ask the questions. It's your job to find the replacements. I get it too. Like, and it's kind of a fragile play, right? But Golden State's made it pretty clear. Kerr's made it pretty clear that he's very obviously jumped Kevon Looney in the rotation there for Golden State. There was a while there where he wasn't starting, but he was closing and he was still ahead of Looney. Now he's just going to straight up start. So, I mean, Looney's going to bed essentially. Yeah, TJD, good. Get yourself possibly a cheap double-double. Center and center only. The matchup versus Orlando is not spectacular either. We are projecting Gogo Batazzi to draw the start, which he drew the start last time. Wendell Carter, for some reason, his minutes are just not coming up. Like, people want to make that happen, but it's going to be like 22, 23, 24, if that. But yeah, I don't know where we're going to find these value pieces, and I really want to find a way to spend up on the big boys because the big boys are too cheap, relatively speaking. But we do live in the world of a salary cap. We should get started, I suppose. Unless you have anything else otherwise that we should kind of point out, or it's just going to kind of come up organically as we go through the old game by game deal.
I think it'll come up organically.
Second most popular player, but I was just sort of curious, is Chris Paul, then Desmond Bane, who's got an awesome matchup there versus San Antonio. Yeah, so it's like mostly stuff like mid to high tiers, like Embiid is too cheap at 11K, assuming like there's no issues as far as minutes, and we're projecting for 34. I don't expect much. He wasn't out for too long. Oh God, you want Chris Duarte is projected for 20% ownership, which is that. Does anything feel grosser than that? Good Lord, that is not comfortable. Just
he does
there's
have
no injuries.
Eligibility for what it's worth, shooting guard, small forward, but that's the type of slate.
He can suck at you he can suck at a variety of positions. He can be mediocre, not just at shooting guard, but also at small forward, which I guess is a selling point. But I think you can tell yourself a story. Like, he's probably one of they can absolutely blow out Charlotte, and he would stick around for a while, maybe gets a few extra minutes that way, but he's not projecting spectacularly. It's 18 points or so. And when has Chris Duarte chalk ever failed? Oh wait, every time I believe. I just checked the records. I'm pretty sure it's never got there.
I thought Duarte was going to be good.
Did you?
Prior to the like when they first drafted him, I thought he was all right. When he was on Indiana, and then he just totally fell off after the trade.
I never had like a good read on him. I didn't really have a thought. But he was like a lottery pick, right? I feel like he was a pretty high pick. Pretty sure.
I think so.
A strong first
round. I'm not up on the drafts these days.
Yeah.
Well, I do remember him. I think he was pretty high.
First game, again, only game at 7:00. Then we got a break for an hour. The Bulls take on Philly. 223.5 is the total. Like we said, Philadelphia 10-point favorite here, pretty big number. Embiid is back. Now Melton is out and Covington is out. Korkmaz is out. That doesn't really matter so much. But my first thought with Philadelphia is like, Embiid's back. Everybody's price is baked up. In the absence of Embiid, now he's back. Everybody's overpriced. You can't play anybody. But Melton is out, so maybe a little bit more. There's still a little bit of meat in the bone on anybody else in Philadelphia. And I don't want to say you can't, but like your first, there's nothing optimal or even close to optimal in Philadelphia outside of Embiid. You tell me. What are your thoughts? I mean, like the nonsense that's hitting again, just sort of the nature of the slate stuff. Like Pat Bev at 16 points projection at 3.9 is getting some ownership just because we're desperate for players that are cheap to open things up, but that doesn't feel good. His floor is like 8. Yeah, go ahead.
I would have interest in Marcus Morris, small forward and power forward eligible. Just a good spot for him in terms of rebounds. Chicago really struggling, 30th in defensive rank versus power forward. So like he would be someone who, if he hit, I think Nick Nurse kind of likes him too. I would imagine he's starting. He would be someone I'd have more interest in than Pat Bev. Other than that, like, there's not too much. I don't love this game. Kobe White and DeMar DeRozan are just dead to me at this point.
Wow, that's it? You're crossing him off the list? Never again?
DeMar DeRozan, never again. There's no way. And I've been on this for a little bit. Like, even when he was chalk, I would not play him. There's no chance. There's absolutely no chance I will play him.
Is it because you don't see him having like this like 60-point upside?
He doesn't, though.
No,
if he does, I'm never playing.
He probably doesn't double. He doesn't hit a bunch of threes, right? Like, how does he put up 60 fantasy points? No, 55 is fine. 50 is fine, right, at his asking price. But I'm kind of with you. I'm not a huge fan. White talked about he wasn't making excuses, but he was talking about his wrist kind of bothering him. You know,
White,
they're going to get a ton of minutes.
Eventually playing again, but
he's only like 26. I would imagine at some point.
We will see. He has to find his way back into my good graces. Drummond, I stayed away from that chalk the other night. I was happy for it.
Not the first time, though. The first time you ate it when it was like 4K, I'm sure. Yeah,
the first time I ate it at 4.9, but when it jumped 3K, it was the immediate get off point, or 4K or whatever it did.
Revenge game for Drummond. He's got the history.
He's obviously going to be needed here. We're showing 6% ownership. People may be worried that he gets into foul trouble. Drummond might be my favorite play of the Chicago guys, now that I think about it.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you say never again DeRozan, never again White. So somebody's got to rise.
So if we're saying someone, that's it. Yeah. It would probably, because I bet the narrative is he's going to get into foul trouble. He just came off busting his chalk, and I don't know. I feel like you could get to him. He obviously has a pretty high ceiling, so I don't hate Drummond. Maxey, I liked more if Embiid had sat, obviously.
Yeah.
He's a tough roster in himself, though. Like, I don't know, maybe Embiid opens the floor up a little bit more for him. So we're showing very low ownership on Maxey at 9. That price is, like you said, everyone's kind of priced up for Embiid being out. Probably wouldn't touch Maxey either. This game isn't the most appealing.
By the way, note just came across that Batum's going to remain in a minutes limit. Embiid won't have a minutes limit. That's kind of what I expected as far as Embiid.
So with Batum on a minutes limit, it should open up Marcus Morris, right? Like, Marcus Morris is definitely going to start. He would be.
I wouldn't say definitely, but I'd say likely. Yeah, because we don't have him starting currently. So that's what I was going to bring back to you. We currently have 26 for Batum and 16 minutes for Morris. Like, obviously,
I think it's the other way around.
It might flip. I'm curious what the projection team they're going to tinker with this or not. Batum last time played 19 minutes for what it's worth, so maybe they split the difference and it's like 20 and 20 or something like that, which is rather not. It's not ideal for either. And like, right out the gate, 7:00, you want to lock in some more stuff? I'm not saying things are coming, but like...
And we got starters in. Morris is not starting. It's Batum.
Okay. But like, he probably gets a kind of a quick hook. Let me see I want to pull up the quarter. We have time for this stuff. Let's see what happened last time. Well, Embiid didn't play last time, but I'm just trying to think. Did Batum start last game? And did he get a quick hook? They certainly managed his minutes. But maybe we'll get an adjustment. I would take the under on 26 Batum minutes, though. This is kind of where I'm at on that. And also, Batum's like not great. But again, we need something to help us open this stuff up. Maybe our projection team will tinker with that a little bit with the news coming in. But the starting lineup also doesn't make it spectacular. All right, pulling up the last game here versus Chicago. Let's see. We had Reed, Maxey, Harris, Oubre. Oh, Melton started. That's right. Okay. So he didn't even start Batum, but he did play 20 minutes off the bench. It looked like a kind of a blowout there. Some of the starters got pulled at the end. What do we make of the Drummond, Embiid narrative? They seem to have a bit of a history. You care about that at all?
I care about that if one of them gets ejected. I do like Embiid. We're showing 23%.
Yeah.
interested on what we have him to be optimal. Check that out.
I bet it's somewhere around
14% to be optimal.
Oh, it's kind of low.
It's kind of low. I still like Embiid for a 6-game slate. Like, returns into a raw point slate, he should be fine.
He is the highest projected raw point player on the slate, not just like by 2 points or 4 points or 5 points. He's currently the highest raw point projected player by 8.5 points. I went to UCF, so feel free to check my math. But SGA 52.5, Embiid 61, and then Sabonis at 51, Fox, Morant. It's pretty congested there, like the next 5 or so, but he is separated. He is the center, the precious center, position center, and center only, obviously. So lineup construction obviously matters too, but you probably, I think that's reasonable to say he'd be the favorite if you're going to draft. Who's going to be the highest? I was drafting some stuff on Underdog earlier today. He was my 1-1, like he was everybody's 1-1 for raw points. But
finding the underdog streets.
Yeah, I've done pretty done okay over there. I've done all right.
You're the type of guy who wouldn't be over there if you didn't do well over there. So,
which is like fun drafting. I mean, I lost money in best ball. Am I the first person to admit that I lost money in best ball
too? Yeah.
Everybody's out there going to tell you like this is how I advanced.
I'm upset. I can't be an influencer anymore in the best ball streets for sure.
Your credentials have been revoked.
Yeah, I revoked my own credentials if I ever had any.
Yeah, I don't pretend to be a best ball savant, but I enjoyed it. It was fun, and I had some chances. And like I said, everybody has their chances, right? But just did not go my way, unfortunately.
I would have had, if I could ever have gotten a team through, I had likely Lamar, Zay Flowers, Achan, all yesterday, everywhere.
Do you TJ in chat says Drummond will probably be out at the last second due to tripping on an avocado. Do you remember that story when Philadelphia was playing in Mexico? And the story was he got like food poisoning or like an eye infection from an avocado.
He drank the water.
Like it was very, and he was like a last second scratch. Yeah, the Montezuma's that was a nice callback there from TJ. Did we ever get the official story? Like nobody believed it, right? Nobody believed that it was avocado related, or maybe he was allergic to avocados. Is that what it was? Maybe is that how he found out? I'm not sure, but
he drank the water, Dean.
Is that it? Well, why wouldn't they just say that? Like it's too much. It gives you too much of a visual.
Kind of embarrassing, like if you do it, like everyone knows not to do it.
I guess, yeah. Well, maybe there wasn't any bottled water available. I don't know. I'm not sure. I would assume they would have bottled water available. Whatever it was. I just remember it had like the DFS. We were in shambles that night. They were playing, I believe they were playing in Mexico City. And he was a late scratch. And maybe it could have been like a post-lock scratch. And it could have been in one of those seasons where there was no late swap. Remember that? Remember there was no late swap in basketball? That was a thing that happened. Some people still
I didn't like it at the time, but I would enjoy it now.
I get it. Yeah, there's arguments for both sides for sure. What else do we have to say here as far as Philadelphia, Chicago? You said you like Embiid, you like Drummond. Would you be okay just like locking both centers in this game and moving on and just you're spending a lot of money? Obviously, your center position's gone.
No, I wouldn't do that, but
okay.
I think one is fine.
Yeah, I don't mean lock. To be clear, I'm not saying lock for like 100 lineups. I mean like for one lineup, one specific lineup.
Yeah, I don't mind playing them together because people just won't. Right.
Well, yeah, like one of the best values is a center. So that's just how that's that's one way to get away from the value play for Golden State tonight. We'll see if it works out. But I agree with you. Those are my two favorite players as far as this game, but they're both really expensive. And man, do I want to play Batum? Like if is he going to be kind of popular just because? Again,
the minutes limit. I would much rather just play Morris.
Well, he played 20 last game, so you have to think he can get to 20 again. Will he play much beyond? I don't know. And they have options.
I would like to call out Broccoli Boy in chat.
Okay.
For his great call on little Dean Shavelson for the touchdown on Sunday.
I don't get what did I miss? You got to give me some. You got to elaborate.
Little Jordan Humphreys.
Oh, yeah, I had Little Jordan. I don't know why he would be my name, but I had some Little Jordan. I had the other guy, Johnson, too. I played a bunch of those Denver receivers, except for Judy, who's terrible. But yeah, Little, and it was terrible tackling. I don't know if you saw the play. Like it should not have been a touchdown. But
I played Brandon Johnson and regret it.
I played him too. Yeah, he was on the field. He was playing football.
He was running wind sprints.
Yeah, I mean, good for him. Well, he was. I mean, the information slate, Bobby, you ready for it? This is the final Tournament Takes podcast, Friday nights, Saturday morning, depending on whenever you and Kirkwood decide.
It isn't the final. We've extended.
Oh, the people have demanded you guys do the playoffs as well.
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
They've demanded.
I'm still going to make an appearance one of these days. I'm going to get the link and jump on and hang out with the people. Yeah, the Pick Six crew we're thinking about. We're pretty sure.
We'll send you the link this week. Remind one of us. We'll send it.
Yeah. I'm going to invade the Tournament.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to deal with you for 4 shows this week, but we'll try to make it work.
I understand. Well, if you have
Are you still holding out? Is the holdout still on?
No, there's no holdout. If you eat an avocado or if you drink some Mexican water, feel free to I can fill in for you at the last second if need be. If you can't deal with me for 4 shows throughout the week. Final thoughts, Philly, Chicago, anything else before we move on?
No, I think we covered the majority of it.
Derek says he finished 7 with Judy last week. Well, was that like an 8-man contest or was that like a big contest? Congratulations for doing so. All right.
Probably would have finished higher if he didn't play Judy.
Yeah, I think he still entire season has not scored more than 12 DK points.
It was 13 when we checked, correct?
Okay, maybe I'm cutting him short of the decimal points. I think it was below 13. It's like 12 and
13.1 or something.
I did slight him. My apologies to Jerry.
Don't slight Mr. Judy
and his entire family. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about the Spurs. The Spurs and Memphis. That is the next game for us. San Antonio, Memphis, 236.5 is the total. This could be a fun one if the Spurs decide to play Wembanyama like reasonable minutes, but hard to assume that's going to happen. Keldon Johnson, his entire body's good to go, especially his back. He is questionable. I'm sorry, he is probable. They did lose Zach Collins, their backup center. Memphis is as healthy as they're going to be for a while. Obviously, Steven Adams out for the season. Brandon Clark, I think, is coming back at some point. We haven't seen him. I don't think we've seen him all season long. They can certainly use him because their 5 is still pretty rough. One of these days, shouldn't Memphis just like play Triple J at the 5? No, maybe that's my thought. But just bump out Biyombo and move everybody up 1, and throw in like I don't know, Williams or Kennard at the 2 or the 3. How about that? Does that work? Anyways, doesn't matter. 236.5 is the total. Big boy total, kind of, sort of, somewhat, but they are big boy favorites versus the terrible Spurs. Yeah, I like the Grizz. Does this game stay close? I think it's an important question, sort of, because, if we can somehow get 36, 35 minutes out of Ja, Triple J, and Bane, they all look awesome to me. We know the matchup against San Antonio is prime. Yeah, and it sort of feels like if you're playing Wemby, if you're going to go that route, now we're only projecting 25 minutes for him, which is like, what's the point? It's half measures. Let the man play 30 and just rest him on back-to-backs. We can't do that? Anyways, I'm full of like opinions today, aren't I? I'll stop. Bobby, what do you got? Memphis and San Antonio, what sticks out for you?
So I think we might have our pivot to the Jackson Davis chalk and Bismack Biyombo. I know that sounds disgusting, but it is a good matchup versus the Spurs, just from a rebounding perspective and also a points perspective for the center position. So don't hate him. Don't hate Jaren Jackson. Good spot for Jaren Jackson as well. What do we have for Jaren Jackson's minutes currently? 32?
Yeah.
I could see Jaren Jackson playing more minutes than that. What did I have him for earlier? I just want to see where I had him.
The worst thing that happens sometimes, like, and I can just see this scenario, I'm not rooting for it, is like Triple J gets 2 early fouls. He sits, he's in foul trouble, he sits, and then like he doesn't play in the fourth quarter because the game blows out and he plays 20 minutes. Like you've seen that before, right? The coach pulls their guy, and it's just sort of, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I can sort of see that terrible scenario.
Well, it definitely could happen being that it's Triple J and he's handsy, but it's the 6-game slate, remember? So you have to they take into consideration the fact that he does have upside. I could see him playing like 34 minutes if he isn't getting a foul trouble. So I don't mind.
I'll give you this, by the way. San Antonio is tied for the least amount of fouls draws per opponent, just as a heads up. They draw 18.4 fouls per game. So this seems like the matchup that he's not going to foul somebody, but it is Triple J, so challenge accepted. By the way, San Antonio is tied with two other teams on this slate as far as drawing the fewest fouls.
How did you even pull that up so fast?
Yeah, because I've looked at this before. I had this page like kind of bookmarked. I'm a professional, Bobby. I was ready for it.
I know. That's why you're looking for a new contract. I heard we're on the street. So
I don't know why you keep saying that. You're just rubbing this up.
Just complaining about your contract. I get it.
You just want your 5% kickback, like a founder's fee or something. Charlotte, Boston, and San Antonio, where they are all tied, 18.4 fouls. So, interestingly enough, all three teams that draw the fewest amount of fouls are all on this small 6-game slate. Prioritize. Give me the priority list when it comes to the Memphis guys. Ja, Bane, Triple J. I think Marcus Smart is kind of fine too. It's a good stock matchup. I think it's it's an awesome steals matchup, and it's a bad blocks matchup. I was looking at that too. If you want me to pull it up, I certainly can. But they're both like top 5 in steals and bottom 5 as far as getting. San Antonio doesn't get blocked because I think they shoot a lot of threes. I'm guessing that's the reason why, and it's harder to block a three. They don't shoot as much stuff inside. And also, you can't block Wemby. Is the other part of it. Good luck. Muggsy Bogues, good luck. You're trying to block this Wembanyama. We got to see those two standing next to each other. But it's like that Altuve, Aaron Judge picture, but only even more. But, yeah. Give me the priority list when it comes to Memphis.
So I really like Bane, kind of with the field on Bane. Shooting guard, small forward eligible. It is a good matchup for Bane in terms of some of his stocks, assists, rebounds. So usually he's someone who just gets there in points, but I think there's upside for him. Like I said, I like Bismack as a pivot off of Jackson Davis. So he's someone I have in consideration. If I had to rank them, it'd probably be Bane, Jackson, Morant, and then Bismack. I like the Marcus Smart call too, especially with the steals upside, stocks upside. I like this team starting to pop for me a little bit, Memphis here. It's just a matter of this game really staying close, right?
What are the rules, right? So I want to play 2 players from Memphis. Does that mean I have to drag somebody for San Antonio? If I want to play 3, I probably have to. I don't say have to, but I feel like almost like what are the chances of 3 get there and nobody gets there in San Antonio? And that, again, I don't want to be too afraid of the blowout. It's like, okay, if the game blows out, well, first of all, you're going to be on the right side of the blowout, theoretically. And like, you just can't really play scared. It's like, well, what if it doesn't? How about that? What if it doesn't blow out? Right?
I usually don't care about the potential blowout. I don't think I would play 3 of these Memphis guys.
Yeah.
Together. I think I'd only go 2 though. So haven't really thought about it. Maybe Vassell at 7,200. Currently under 10% owned. Keldon's there at 7-1. He's Prowl. Maybe Branham at 5K. What do we have
That's
for
Chalk City, though. He's like going to be 15-20% owned, I think. Yeah, he's currently predicted for 50%. 25 minutes. Like, that's the thing. Like, Branham 25, Jones 23, Wemby 25. You know, Sohan. They're giving 30 to Sohan, but I can see that getting pulled if this game gets a little bit ugly. Champagny could start and just disappear. He can pull like a Moses Brown. It's San Antonio's just a hard team to trust, and I don't like Jetty. Is Jetty going to play garbage time? Not really. McDermott probably not. And like the other side of the game, we didn't even mention Kennard. 20% ownership for Kennard. Again, the story of the slate. One of the stories of the slate is just an extreme lack of value. We're giving him a 20% ownership at 19-point projection at 4.1K, shooting guard and shooting guard only. Do you feel great about Kennard? He's got to make 3 or 4 threes. He can do that. He can do that and still give you like 18 points. Like, that's basically it, possibly.
On this slate, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
On a bigger slate, probably not. Branham at 5K, I do think is the best run back. I have him for 29 minutes. We have him for 25. So I have him for 4 minutes over what we have him. So I think
I got an interesting name. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I meant to mention this guy. Somebody in chat brought it up too. Steve in chat, Mamashkidishvili. We've seen, he's a cup of coffee. He'll stick around. He'll get his run when the opportunity presents itself. He'll mop up for sure. But the absence of Collins, we're giving him 18 backup center minutes. He's 4-1. He's a good fantasy point minute player. Let's see what he is in the season. About a point, I would guess. 1.09, 18% usage. Like, if you're telling the story that this game's going to blow out, right? If you're not loading up on Memphis, he's not completely nuts. And like, he can actually, if this game stays close, like, there's a path for him to play, 16 to 22 minutes, I think. Again, uncomfortable, but that's where we're at. And he's 4-1. So I don't think that's like nuts. I probably wouldn't play him like with, Vassell and Keldon, like something like that, like 2 starters, maybe 1 starter, but maybe just a la carte. You think Mamashkidishvili is kind of sort of someone interesting?
I can always play a guy named Sandro in the NBA. Seems like he fits in well. Yeah, I can definitely play him at 4-1, especially you remove Collins and we're giving him 18 minutes. So yeah, I don't hate it.
Somebody in chat's asking how many minutes Wemby played versus Memphis last time. Well, that wasn't just recently, was it? I don't think so. Let's see.
If Sandro were to play 21 minutes,
yeah, he's gonna hit your stuff.
He's gonna, yeah. I kind of like Sandro.
Just a couple minutes is all that matters. Yeah. So he played 31 minutes against. Somebody's asking me, he crushed Memphis. He also got 8 blocks. Do you think that's repeatable? Like, it's possible because it's Wemby and he's outrageous.
It's definitely repeatable because he's an absolute freak.
Yeah, it's unlikely. He played 31 minutes that game, and like, I don't think he's gonna. This is sort of this new path of, his minutes just 20. His last 4, 22, 24, 24, 24. And they also, like, when they were getting blown out, like, even Pop will put him out there. I think he just kind of comes out in the middle of the quarters, disappears, and doesn't come back until the start of the next one. Now, I think there's opportunity for, like, when they do that, he comes back, he disappears in the middle of the third. He comes back, start of the fourth. If the game is close, he can come back and play a few more minutes sometimes, right? But he'll close like the last 3 minutes or so.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen more than 24 minutes. Now, I don't know if this is going to rise or this is just a new normal. He's just going to play 24 minutes going forward. They did talk about back-to-back stuff, like possibly being not a thing going forward as well. So maybe, like, can we I don't know how, like, locked in 24 minutes, 25, we can't do it. He's going to combust if he's on the court. And I get it. Like, they're going nowhere. There's no reason to fully push him. But still, and the price has not come down enough, although he has these outlier games because of, like you said, his stock potential for one reason. So
I guess, like, you can make a case for it in tournaments on the slate. I would kind of take the wait and see approach personally.
Like, I'm somewhat interested. I might play him in if I play 2 of the Memphis guys, I might run it back with Wemby. I don't think I would play Wemby and Skidishvili together. That feels like negative correlation. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But it is what it is, right? I mean, 8.5K on DK. I think he's in the 9s still, like the high 9s on FanDuel. I know you get more points for the stocks on FanDuel, so he's a better scorer over there. Yeah, he's 9.7 on FanDuel, 8.5 on DK. DK just feels much more playable. But he could be the slate's highest scorer in 25 minutes, like, which is not an outrageous thing to say. It's possible, not likely, but possible. Anything else we got as far as San Antonio and Memphis?
Now, like this Memphis side, though, make sure you have one of these Memphis guys on your teams, I would say.
I could see Smart finding his way into my lineups, just kind of like as a glue guy, right? A lot of salary.
That's a good price for 5.7 for all the reasons that you gave, too.
Ja versus like Fox versus SGA. You have a ranking like amongst those 3. I know SGA is a little bit more, but they're similar. They're kind of in a similar box today.
It would probably be Fox, Ja, SGA for me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to argue with it. I think all three are really, really good. Let's move on. Let's talk about, speaking of SGA, I mean, this is like the best game of the season to me. I'm excited. Boston, OKC, 239.5 is a total. OKC is a 4-point home dog versus the Celtics. It is the front half of back-to-back for Boston. Am I just kind of like trying to make things happen? I feel like this game, like these teams are going to like play, maybe get an extra minute or two. It feels like sort of like, possible NBA finals, kind of a let's see where we're at kind of thing. Let's give them the best we got, and maybe the fringe players lose a minute or two, or maybe not. I don't know. I'm just trying to make that happen. You can't project that. But yeah, but defensively, these teams, OKC and Boston, they are second and third in the league. Offensively, Boston is second in the league, OKC sixth in the league. So I don't really like picking on these defenses, but I think the offenses are really, really good. And the other part of it is, which I guess is like fun from a watchability perspective, but both of these injury reports are clean. So everybody's good to go. Meaning we don't really have a lot of, value in this game. Lou Dort is at 4.6, Dortcher Chamber. Heaven is what is his usage? Like 12% or something. 15. I slatted him. Giddey at 5.6. He's one of my favorite players on this slate just because I love this game and he's cheap. But these are the two most popular players currently in this game, projection wise, ownership wise, because again, salary reasons. Kenrich Williams even getting a little bit of projection, which is kind of ridiculous. SGA at 10.3 is such a good price, but how do we make him work? Talk to me about Boston OKC. Are you as excited about it as I am? Do you feel positive? I'm going to have a game stacks here with some of the mid-tier stuff, probably like 5 players in this game, at least try to make that work. But that's the plan at least. How do you feel about Boston and the Thunder?
Yeah, it's probably similar to you. Better game to watch. Lou Dort's like a pricing play at 4.6. He's getting we're showing him for 30 minutes. That's why he's going to hit a bunch of stuff. I don't like to play Dort. Just want to see where we have him in terms of the optimal rating. I doubt it's great. 12% to be optimal. 17% owned. Maybe that's gone. It's gone up. It doesn't look like it's gone up. We're looking at the same stuff. So yeah. He's fine. Giddey fine. SGA would probably be the guy that under 10% that I'd have the most interest in trying to get to. Him or Chet. I like Chet at 7.6.
Yeah. Current leader, rookie of the year, by the way. Ahead of Wemby.
He's been more, hasn't he been more efficient than Wemby?
I'm not sure. Like as far as straight efficiency, I couldn't tell you. But that's probably true. But he's also like on a more functional offense. He's probably getting better shots. So there's other factors. He doesn't shoot as many threes. Let's see.
On
Boston?
On the Celtics side, like Tatum and Porzingis, but like Porzingis is at 8K power forward center eligibility. They're fine tournament plays. Maybe Drew and White are guys you can consider in tournaments, but they're not guys that I'm actively trying to get in there. This is more, like I said, better basketball game than a DFS game.
Do you buy my theory that like maybe the Celtics give an extra minute or two to their guys as just because it's a fun get up for the game? There's a game tomorrow night for Boston. I've not seen who they play, but I sort of feel like Horford's not going to play and somebody else is going to they're going to get a fake injury for somebody. Somebody else is going to rest for Boston tomorrow. They're going to rest a couple of guys and they're going to I don't want to say go for it, but play this out like it's a real serious game.
I would like to see both these teams kind of play this as a playoff game with them both being at full strength, and
that's what I'm expecting.
I hope that's the case. I'm like you. I really like OKC. Just in general as a team. Celtics obviously my team, but I don't know if I'm a Tatum Celtics guy. I think he's like the Tin Man. If I had to give.
What, the Tin Man? No brain, no heart. You have no heart.
No heart. Yeah.
Yeah. Who didn't have a brain?
He's not a killer, Dean. He's not a killer.
I don't know how to quantify that stuff. I know people just watch the game. Oh, that guy's heartless. I think he's really trying, Tatum.
Luka is a killer. That. You know what I mean? Luka has that Kobe in him, or that Paul Pierce in him. That will just
Paul
bury
Pierce
you
is the go-to guy to reference.
Paul Pierce, to be honest, you can't assisted or scored the most game-winning shots in the history of the NBA, Dean. There's a stat for you, Paul Pierce.
Well, when do you cut off game winning? Because is it within 5 seconds ago at the buzzer, or 25 seconds to go?
No, to win the game, he's assisted or scored on the most game-winning situations in the history of the NBA.
I feel like there's some wiggle room in the phrasing of that. Is there not? I feel like that's something that could be manipulated.
I think Pierce was cold, Dean. I watched him for a long, long time. He was ice cold.
So. I'm not here besmirching. When I think of you have one player to take a shot for for your life, whatever. How people phrase that. Paul Pierce is probably the first guy that comes to mind.
He might be the guy for me, Dean.
You know what? That's I feel like you're in the minority, and then again, not wrong. It's just that's not the guy.
It's the truth, Dean. It's the truth. People hate it, but it's the truth.
I see what you're doing there. He was a great analyst too, and so
it would definitely be Jordan or Kobe, but he's in the conversation for me.
Tim, by the way, says, what YouTube channel did you find that on?
I didn't know where I found. So I went to the retirement game. DK sent me and JSU to the retirement game
really?
5 years ago. Yeah.
How his retirement game was no.
And that was one of the things was, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you see all these highlights. Somebody mentioned Larry Bird and Jordan is I promise you, Jordan missed a lot of game winners. Bird missed a lot of game winners. You just don't see them they're not on the highlight reel. They got edited out. It never happened. I'm not saying those guys weren't quote unquote clutch, but you just see the same ones go in over and over again. You just assume, well, these guys must have been spectacular. And they were.
I don't know how Tim can call me a homer in chat when I'm against the Celtics literally every night.
Were you there for the wheelchair night? That would have been a better night to be there for.
I think I was there for that too, yeah.
Were you? Did you season tickets or something? You just happened to luck out. You're there for the wheelchair.
I happened to luck out. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was there for the Eastern Conference, 1999, all that stuff. Yeah.
Were you there when the Heat knocked them out?
No, because I knew the Heat were going to knock them out. I knew that was Jimmy Butler for what, he's not as talented as Jason Tatum. Not even close, but he's a killer.
He's a killer. Not in the regular season, though. He's rope-a-dope during the regular season. So yeah, whatever. Who cares? And these games are meaningless.
He does take a hit. Pierce takes a hit for the wheelchair incident for sure. 100% he takes a hit.
Well, no, I think he gets it back though, because he essentially conceded. He kind of admitted that the whole thing was a farce, which I appreciate. I appreciate the honesty. Didn't he basically say?
Nick, is there a way you can swing that around?
What?
Never mind. Forget it.
But didn't he concede? Basically, essentially said he wasn't injured. He was having a different kind of incident altogether. Didn't he basically admit that on air?
He had an incident like you had an incident on last night's show, from what I heard.
You're talking about Mr. Perfecto? You're saying Mr. Perfecto pooped itself? Is that what you're suggesting?
That's what was going on. I woke up to some weird stuff in our DMs there. Me, you, and Tim.
Yeah, I can ask Mr. Perfecto if Paul Pierce is the greatest last second shooter of all time, and we could just end the conversation there. If you want me to do that,
let's ask him. Ask Mr. Perfecto.
Turning on Mr. Perfecto. Is Paul? Well, I didn't ask the question yet. There, Mr. Perfecto. Relax. Is Paul Pierce the greatest last second shooter of all time?
The answer is no.
Oh, there it is. Mr. Perfecto has spoken. He's batting 1,000. You heard it, right?
I heard it. Yeah, we all heard it, Dean.
Okay. No, I just want to make clear because Tim last time said that he couldn't hear it for some reason, but Mr. Perfecto has spoken. And it wasn't even sometimes he's wishy-washy. He's just no, what you woke me up for this? I'm going back to bed. Final word as far as Boston, OKC. It feels like I'm going to be on it more than you are. I like all the pieces. I'm just going to try to figure out what fits. I'm going to have probably too much Giddey, probably too much Dort. The Boston stuff is like all too expensive, but I think I might just overspend on at least one guy. I'm good with White, Porzingis, Tatum, Brown, Holiday, all those five. Like those five. That's basically it. I don't think I'm going beyond that. But I don't really have a priority list. I mean, I love Tatum. He's the most expensive. Anything else we should say here, or shall we move on?
We can move on, Dean.
Tony says Robert Horry. By the way, Robert Horry. People are.
I think that's you can make a legitimate case for Horry.
The Horry thing is just like so fluky. He fell into the right spots. Like any like those 3-point shooters that he had the great opportunity.
But did he miss
in a small sample size?
He didn't miss.
He missed the first shot in order for another rebound to get created for that. What was the one? Was he on the Lakers? I think it was.
We're talking about the last shot, Dean. He hit the last one. That's all that matters.
What about Ray Allen with the corner three for Miami to knock out? Was that San Antonio? Which championship?
That was a very clutch 3-pointer.
That was incredible. Yeah.
He's not. Allen's not Pierce though. Let's not get that.
Yeah, he's better.
He's really better. No, he's not.
All right, we shall move on. I'm not sure who's better amongst those two. I know you proposed like D Wade.
Pierce is better than D Wade for sure,
which is outrageous.
D Wade has a better career.
Just an outrageous thing to suggest. The Nets are playing the Pelicans. They're playing basketball tonight. 228.5 is the total. The Pelicans, they happen to be a 6-point favorite tonight. Again, injuries. We have Trey Murphy, who's currently questionable. That sort of somewhat matters, but not a ton. DFS is available. Dorian Finney-Smith good to go. Brooklyn fully healthy, or as healthy as we've seen him in a while. We know Walker and Simmons, they have been out for a while. Ownership-wise in this game, what is popping? We have a pretty good price for Claxton on DK at 6.6. Pretty good price for Zion as well, 7.8. He's getting 11% ownership. Nobody getting more than 20 currently. Murphy, if he plays, is pretty good, pretty usable, right? Play 26 minutes, 25 fantasy points, 5.4K. Position versatility, shooting guard, small forward. We don't know if he plays or not. And again, I pulled up the if-then stuff, and I think even if he doesn't play, really there's not one clear benefactor. Zion continues to be a positive DK value, a positive RG value, but nobody else. Ingram, a fringe DK value, a fringe DK value for McCollum. Valanciunas, I think, is hurt by the presence of Nance. Now that his minutes could be a little extended, a little bit more when Nance wasn't there. Nance is back, and we're giving him 22 minutes, 26 for Jonas Valanciunas. Yeah, again, this is one injury we're monitoring, but I don't know how much it matters, but something worth talking about. I guess Murphy is somebody you can play. That's like one of the more significant things. But this is not one of my favorite games in the slate, Brooklyn and New Orleans. I think there's pieces that are fine, but I think I also possibly can just ignore this game. We'll see. What say you? Pels, Nets.
Yeah, so I like Brandon Ingram at 8,100, shooting guard, small forward eligible. Currently, do you have what we have for ownership? Yep, you pulled it up. In terms of ownership for Ingram, we currently have him under 10%, where I kind of like to play him. So Ingram at 8,100, I definitely have interest in. Trey Murphy as well at 5'4", also shooting guard, small forward eligible. That's news we'll kind of get later. I think it could open up some stuff, or if people will kind of get pigeonholed into certain builds early. So I would, if Murphy's in, I like him, and then I think he opens up usage, a little bit of usage for guys like Ingram, McCollum, and Zion. Not like anything crazy, but I think he'd also help like Najee Marshall, guys like that.
So Marshall would jump, not to cut you off, but Marshall would jump 14 minutes to 22 minutes. So he's usable, but yeah, I guess you can use him at 22 minutes to 3.9, but are you thrilled about that? Probably not. Alvarado, Grand Theft Alvarado would grab a few extra minutes. Actually, we're giving him no more minutes. That's surprising. 14 to 14. I could see him getting a couple more. They are also introducing Jordan Hawkins, and he would grab 10, who I don't think is currently projected. You're not playing him, but just somebody eating those minutes. He's, like we said, current projection for Murphy is 26. So they're just getting cut up in different ways. Herb gets an extra minute or two. he's fine, but what are you really shooting for with Herb Jones? He's not going to make it for you. Probably doesn't kill you, but his ceiling is really subdued unless he has like a ridiculous outlier game when it comes to threes and stocks, which is hard to predict. How about the Brooklyn side? What do you think of the Nets?
Yeah, in terms of the Nets, like Bridges is fine. Cam Johnson, at 6K there. What price do we have? Dorian Finney-Smith, 4,900. Like I hate playing Dorian Finney-Smith, but I think you can on the slate. Just because we're starved for value. Royce is down there at 4,100.
Could he possibly? I'm just trying to think of different paths of things. Like this game could possibly go small, and like DFS could play center against Nance. Like, is that a possibility of this game ending that way? I'm just trying to think of something like different routes that, things that aren't really popping in projections that like are not necessarily likely but possible.
I think it could for sure.
I think that's possible.
I wouldn't completely rule him out of the pool. What do we have for minutes on Dorian Finney-Smith currently?
26. So we have 22 for Nance. I'm just sort of thinking like they could be interesting paired together. Not forcing that, but just, if you're like hand building, if you want to tell that story, obviously you're not playing Valanciunas, you're not playing Claxton, and you're hoping the game ends up, closing small. But, I'm telling a story just for the sake of telling a story, and because I'm desperate to tell a story to help me make lineups to make the stuff I really want work, if that makes sense.
Would we do we have an issue with Royce at 4,100? We have him for 20 minutes. It's not fantastic, but it's salary savings.
He just doesn't shoot, which is a problem. But and they have all these wings. Brooklyn's got all our wings, and it's hard to sort of predict their wing rotation. I don't love it, but it's not the worst thing that you can do. Do you like Claxton? Kind of popular at 20%. He's
fine. Yeah, Claxton at 6'8". I think for the center position, like you're taking Embiid or Jackson Davis are probably going to be the majority of people's centers. So people aren't going to get to Claxton at 6'8". I think we're showing 20%, but I don't know.
You don't think he's going to get played?
No, I think he should get played. I don't know. Like I'd rather get up to Embiid or pay up at center or Sabonis. So maybe he does get played in like these middling builds, which is fine. If he's going to get played, I'll probably be away from it, I guess.
We just got a new batch of ownership, by the way. Hit refresh. Projections updated about 10 minutes ago as well. Claxton 18%, Zion 14%, McCollum 13%, Royce 13%, Murphy 11%.
I think Murphy is actually the play.
So you plan on playing Murphy if he plays?
I might just build him in and then move things around when we get the news.
Let's see. And Ingram at 7%, 8% ownership is kind of interesting, but he's not a full stud price, 8-1. He's more expensive than Zion, so it's like paying up to be a little bit different at a different position, obviously, but you're probably not playing those two together. You can, but you're unlikely to play those two together, I think. Unless
Ingram would be my favorite pay up in this game.
That's kind of what I was getting at. I think he's a better play than Zion at like half the price, half the ownership. Okay. Two more to go.
Jenkins says Ingram's a great play tonight. I agree with Butho.
Did you ever think, looking back 10 years ago, did you ever think you'd ever verbalize the sentence? I agree with Butto. And then you're being serious. And so, I agree with Butto too. Didn't see that coming, but there you go. That's just how
Eric likes Ingram first basket of the game.
I love that stuff. Like,
he also went to the bathroom in the snow earlier. He said earlier in the chat.
What's the analysis? Like, how do you know? Like, they're going to establish Ingram? Like, I would love to hear first basket of the game analysis. I'm here for that.
We have 400 people watching the show, Dean, and 7 likes. It's impressive stuff.
That can't be true. Like, maybe you got to hit refresh. It can't be 7. 7's outrageous. That's insulting. I mean, I
You gotta
walk
get
off.
the likes up.
That can't be right. Did I not beg or grovel for likes earlier?
We didn't beg. No, we didn't. We did not.
Yeah, I should start begging. TJ's coming on. He'll make sure to get it done. He'll insult me for not, getting the likes up. And then he'll tell people that, like, if you get enough likes, Spider-Man's going to make an appearance. And then people like to see Spider-Man. So there you go. We got to get like a bump.
Someone said we have 47 likes, and it's not. I'm just seeing 7 because it's not moving.
I think you got to hit like refresh. It might like pause or something like that. I don't know.
Is the volume going to go on if I hit refresh?
Don't mess with it. Don't mess with it. Risk reward. There's no upside in this. 2 games. 2 games.
84 likes. We have 84 likes, Dean. 84.
The begging and the groveling
really
worked. There you go. 2 games. And again, this is like it's another world. 2 hours later, DK, FanDuel, they kept these games in the slate because the slate is small enough. The Magic are in Golden State. Magic kind of a team on the rise. Golden State kind of a team on the decline. They're just 3-point favorites. When was the last time the Warriors were just 3-point favorites versus the Magic at home? 230.5 is the total here. We talked about the starting lineup projections. Kerr basically said, I saw somebody in chat ask earlier, what's Golden State's starting lineup? He announced that it's going to be Curry, Paul, Thompson, Kuminga, and TJD going forward for the foreseeable future. I guess that means they don't anticipate Draymond coming back anytime soon. He'll come back at some point. We don't know about Markelle Fultz. He's officially questionable. Ingles, Jingling Joe is out. Doesn't matter so much. Isaac is out. Doesn't matter so much. Did we get news on the Twitter? Let's see. Notifications are coming in. For Wednesday, DeAndre Ayton is still out. Okay, that doesn't matter. Golden State, Orlando. What do we think of this game?
Well, Trace Jackson Davis is probably got a guy like a lot of construction is going to go to, which we've kind of talked about at 4-6. I'm probably going to be under the field on Jackson Davis, even though Kerr's kind of given him a lot of words of encouragement that he's going to be the guy going forward, and this is the starting 5 that they're going to proceed with. So, yeah, I think he's a good play. I just, based on the optimal rating and the current ownership, probably be slightly under. Chris Paul, 5'6", too cheap for Paul. He's going to hit a lot of your stuff.
He's going to be owned. How do you feel about that? Like popular Chris Paul in the year 2024. Yeah, that's right. We had a new year. Happy New Year, by the way.
At 5'6", I hate New Year's. Just throwing it out there.
The fireworks or just the drinking, the whole sort of atmosphere around it, the waiting for the staring at the clock?
I think it's depressing.
Like you feel like it's just one more year that's gone, and now you have less, less sand in the hourglass kind of thing.
Less sand in the hourglass, Dean, for sure.
All right. There was like most of the sand was gone on December 31st. Like basically all the sand was gone. It's not all dumped in one day. It's right now sand is already dropping for 2024.
Maybe your sand, hopefully not mine.
That's how the sand works. It doesn't, it's 2023, 2024. It didn't all the sand doesn't get dumped in 1 second. You understand?
These last few years have all been the same. I feel like it all just goes into one. What's time, Dean? What's time,
It's a flat circle. Matthew McConaughey taught me that many years ago. Tim said this is getting dark. Yeah. We don't want to
I am happy that Draymond is suspended forever.
Well, he's not suspended forever. Like he's going to be back. He's going to be back in our
forever.
lives.
Someone needs to really lay the wood on Draymond when he comes back. I'm waiting for Isaiah Stewart. He would never pick a fight with Isaiah Stewart. Never in a million years would never pick a fight with him. He picks fights with all guys that aren't going to hit him.
Rudy Gobert?
Yeah, like Rudy
Gobert. From behind, too. He got him from behind.
Yeah, Jordan Poole. Like, come on, dude.
Draymond, we don't have time to get into it, but I think
I just can't stand him. I absolutely.
I think he's really likable for a lot of reasons, and
he's not.
I think he's got a great voice, and I want him to be like
weird. I don't understand how you can find him.
I like his takes. He comes off genuine. I appreciate his voice, but we don't have time. Orlando, Golden State. We'll save it for the next 4-gamer or something like that for Draymond.
Orlando, Golden State. Yeah. Orlando's another team like OKC that I basically really like. I think they're on the up and coming. Franz Wagner, 7,500. Banchero, 8,200. I think these guys are fine to run back if you're playing some of these Golden State chalk pieces. Tight spread here too. If you get OT, who knows? Everyone else, though, they're pretty much a full squad, right? Like outside of Fultz.
Yeah. And Fultz may play. He's questionable.
And he might play. Yeah. So for me, it's pretty much Franz and Banchero on the Orlando side. No Cole Anthony, no Suggs.
Banchero and Wagner, they both project the best. They're both DK values. Yeah. By the way, just I don't know if you saw Wendy's Balls in chat. That's the name of the user.
I agree with Wendy's Balls. Sorry.
Another sentence you did not anticipate saying.
She's right.
Wendy's Balls says, shut up and give the plays.
He or they is right.
They're not here for your Draymond takes. No, neither of Wendy's Balls. All of Wendy's Balls. No interest. Orlando, Golden State, Steph. Did we mention Steph? You know, I guess you should. I think of Steph is like Diggs. If your name is Steph Diggs or Steph Curry, you're just going to be overpriced based on your reputation. It's overpriced. I mean, he's a little cheaper now, but still.
Who were you saying?
Steph Curry. I was thinking of Steph Diggs as well. If your name is Steph on DK, you're like 10% too expensive.
Yeah, I'm with you. No Steph Curry for me.
So Charlotte and Sacramento, kind of a surprise. It was reported yesterday that Rozier wasn't going to play. Now he's expected to play. Despite that, they're still expected to get thoroughly walloped because the Hornets are terrible at basketball. They're 15-point dogs tonight in Sacramento. Very likely they light the beam. The Kings do tonight. 231 is the total. As far as Sacramento's injuries, well, there are none. They are perfectly healthy. Charlotte, obviously, Rozier being back. And again, that's not official. He's just probable, but I assume he's going to be good to go. Mark Williams is doubtful, but of course he's not going to play. Gordon Hayward, he's got an old calf, so he can't play basketball. And LaMelo, who knows when he is coming back to back. Not a lot of travel here for Charlotte, but some travel in Sacramento. There was some value pieces, quote unquote value pieces for Charlotte earlier today, but now that kind of goes away, like the Ish Smith of the world. If Rozier plays, how do we feel about this game? Because Sabonis looks really good. Sabonis feels like he's going to annihilate, Nick Richards or PJ Washington or JT Thor, whatever they throw at him on the inside, he should crush. Herder's kind of dead. He's just done. Rough season for Red Velvets. We're projecting Duarte to draw the start for the record. He's kind of hitting some optimals, which is uncomfortable. And De'Aaron Fox, he also looks spectacular. But the Charlotte stuff looks much worse with Rozier projected in. If you want to get goofy, play Rozier. I think that's something you can do if you're running a bunch of lineups. Nobody's doing that. And of course, if you're playing Rozier, you're assuming he's playing well. The game's not a blowout, just a high score. You got to run it back with at least one of Fox or Sabonis, in my mind. You tell me, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm kind of happy Rozier's in, so I don't have to decide on Ish Smith, Nick Smith, Brandon Miller. After last night, I'd have no interest in my recency biases through the roof. For me, it would probably be on the Charlotte side, Nick Richards at 6K and PJ Washington at 6'4". You're taking, obviously, Mark Williams has kind of been out, but I think these guys are fine at the center forward and with Washington being power forward and center at 6'4". I think those prices are fine. On the King side, I have a lot of interest here. Sabonis, 9-7. Really like Sabonis on the slate. Same with Fox. I think I know I said I'd prefer Fox to Morant, but maybe Morant to Fox at this point. Just looking at, I just feel like all these other guys on Memphis are going to garner ownership, and I should just play Morant because he's the best player on Memphis.
Derek's asking about Lyles getting blowout run. You think Lyles gets some blowout run for Sacramento? We're giving him 19 minutes right now.
His ownership's definitely under 10%, I would imagine. Do we think this game goes out with Rozier in now, though? I
mean, look, you can tell the story how you want to tell the story.
Right, I get it.
I think it certainly has a good probability, a decent probability to blow out. It could be a 12-point game with 3 minutes to go and not so much. I will say Charlotte tends to keep their guys out longer than most, and Sacramento tends to keep their guys out longer than most as far as pulling guys early, pulling guys due to blowout. Both these coaches keep their guys out there. We saw Charlotte get just shellacked last night, and they had their best players out there with like 4 or 5 minutes to go. I don't know why they do that, but they don't have a lot of guys. There's another part of it too. And Sacramento, they're not used to winning, I guess, as a franchise generally. I know they were, had a winning season last year, but they keep their guys out there a long time. Utah is another team that does that. They will rub your noses in it when they get the W's. Just sort of like watching the games. That's one of those things I've noticed. So I'll say that. But 15-point line, it's probably going to be around there. Vegas is pretty sharp. But it's just telling the story. Sabonis versus Embiid.
It would be Embiid, but I really do like Sabonis. There's a couple plays I like on this. The one that I don't like that has been hitting everything is Duarte. I can't play Duarte. But I could play Sabonis, Fox, Keegan Murray. I think we're low on his minutes, a little light, I would say. 6,200. I think he could play 34 to 35 minutes. I think we currently have him for 31. Correct? Is that correct? Incorrect, Dean? You got it right in front of you.
31. You got 31. You're right.
Yeah. So I like Murray a little bit. Someone said in chat, Malik Monk revenge game. He would probably be the lowest on the totem pole for me, but if you want to chase the revenge, I'm not going to fault you for it.
I wish he wasn't 6'1" on DK. I will say on FanDuel, I like him more at 5'8", but we're also really projecting ownership on FanDuel. We're looking at 40% ownership on FanDuel for Monk. So, but he's also one of those guys that would stick around the longest, right? If this game gets ugly. And he's also not starting the game. But he would stick around longer than most other guys. So I think he's in the pool, but I wish he was a little bit cheaper. But that's I could say that about like half the guys.
Who wants the bonus? You can say that about all of DFS, NBA DFS since the start of the season, Dean.
So we did this the other day. I definitely have, and I feel like I'm whining, but I think I need to stress the point. Point per dollar plays. We know about point per dollar plays, and not everything, not an end all be all, but back in the day, people used to do the 6x kind of thing. TJD is projected as the best point per dollar play. He's the only player that's getting 6x, 6.37 to be precise, be all technical. The second best point per dollar play, and how math works typically is they're not like these 10K guys, right? Well, it's an 11K guy, and Embiid's the second best point per dollar play according to our projections. The third best point per dollar play is Domantas Sabonis. Fourth best, Chris Paul, Franz Wagner, Nick Claxton, Triple J, DeRozan, Ja, Fox, Bencaro. They're all expensive guys. This is not how math is supposed to work. But, we're all playing with the same.
You should write into the DK salary guys, Dean, and complain.
Who was that? Give me an email. Give me an email.
I'll get one for you from Aguiar.
They know. They don't care. Can you just sports gamble with us? Is that cool? Why even bother with the DFS? Sports gamble. It's the same. I feel like they're not trying. I feel like they're doing this on purpose, but that's a story for another day. They kind of like that it's a disaster, but we do have, speaking of disasters, the greatest DFS player in all Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. It's TJ. It's TJ Zwarych. Will is here. We got Keith as well. What's up, TJ?
What did we finish off for likes? I'm just interested.
I don't know, but whatever it was, it's not going to be enough for TJ because he is a like tyrant. I promised them some version of Spider-Man today, TJ. I know you're listening. I don't know what you have for the people. What's
123
available?
We got, Dean. 123.
It's impressive.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. I'm. This is the type of thing I'm hoping for every show, Dean.
Mr.
We gotta have Bobby
Perfecto
on
gets the credit.
every Grinders Live. We gotta have Bobby on.
So he's the intangible. Bobby's getting all the credit.
Maybe it's me who needs to hold out, Dean, and not you.
It's Mr. Perfecto. He put Paul Pierce in a corner. He put Paul Pierce in his place. But
everyone hates Paul Pierce. I feel so bad for the guy.
First of all, Paul Pierce is doing fine. He's doing all right. I promise you. He's doing okay. There's no need to feel bad for him. And nobody hates Paul Pierce. Who hates Paul Pierce? Do you hate Paul Pierce, Will?
No.
Yeah. TJ, Keith?
Yeah, people who know basketball know that he was good. Don't hate him, but
well, I mean, there's different degrees of good. He was just not as good as Dwayne Wade. That's a tough competition. That's all.
D-Wade had a better career. That's it.
Well, I mean, okay, what do you use to determine
He
who
wasn't a
the
better
player
player. He wasn't a better player.
He just had better stats and was a better shooter.
He won more
and was more
championships.
clutch.
That's what I account. That adds up. The
Also,
championships.
Luke Longley is a better player than like Dwayne Wade because he had 4 championships. We're doing that math.
No, but they're actually in the same kind of realm. Luke Longley's not in the same discussion, right?
But everybody hates Luke Longley. Why is he catching shade? All right. Tim is just speaking of taking shots.
Tim is always taking shots at me. Tim is always. I'm gonna go to HR pretty soon.
Is that a fresh cut for you?
Is me the HR?
You get me an email for DK, and I'll get you an email for HR. How about that? We'll figure it out. We'll write our corporate emails. Who's hosting here? Is it TJ?
It's me.
Okay. What's up?
It's me, Mario.
It's me, DJ. I gotta say, you introed me right after saying "speaking of disasters," so I didn't love that.
I know.
But,
I caught that, TJ, and I wasn't a fan of that, to be perfectly honest. There's a lot of
I
bullying going on.
apologize.
He saved it though by he has finally dropped the one of the best DFS players in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, because there is no one of. I am the best. It's factual. There you don't have to worry about.
I'm pretty sure
hurting
Jesse
any
is from
feelings.
Saskatoon.
No, he's from a different place in Saskatchewan, so a different city.
Jesse
entirely.
said he's going to stop complaining on Twitter.
That lasted 3 hours.
Yeah,
It lasted
that,
3
I
hours.
think
The
that
under
was,
was
just,
a lot.
that was just a joke. But no, Saskatchewan has a lot of talent here in the DFS streets because Jesse's in another city.
All right, fair enough. Is Keith
I didn't know
the
there was
greatest?
multiple cities in Saskatchewan. I didn't even know there was multiple people there. Like, what's the population?
It's just me. Jesse and I are the only two. I have my family in one city, and he has his place in another city.
There's like 600,000 people in Saskatoon, right? Give or take. Does that sound about right?
300,000.
All right, fair. It's a lot of people. I'm you know what it is? I'm trying to redeem myself for my comment earlier. Now I'm sucking up to Saskatoon for no particular reason.
Dustin Mays in chat, also in Saskatchewan. Shout out to my fellow Saskies.
There you go. Are they called Saskies? Did you make that up?
Just made that.
It's not real. Okay.
We've overstayed our welcome here, Dean.
Road trip to Saskatoon. Who's in? You guys in?
Not me.
Not this time of year.
You got a couch?
It's freezing in Mass.
It's
Let alone- I can't even imagine
it's
you're there.
surprisingly nice in Saskatoon right now for this time of year. Like, obviously it's not nice, but it is usually way colder right now than it is.
Bobby, give me the player that's going to break the slate. Tell the people. Wendy's Balls earlier said, "Shut up and give us the picks." Let's shut up and give Wendy's Balls the picks. That was the user's name.
Brandon Ingram.
I'm going to say, I'm thinking of like salary and the whole deal. Josh Giddey. I'm going to say, I love that OKC Boston game.
Dean play. That's such a Dean play.
Josh Giddey? Why is Josh Giddey? I'll say SGA. How about that?
SGA, yeah, go SGA. He's under 10%.
Yeah, but who's got money for that?
He's going to be like 20% owned.
Okay. One of those two. I just love that game. I think I'm going to
now
try to
you're
stack that
widening
game
the
up.
goalpost. I got to get off this show.
That was Bobby. I was Dean. It's the FanDuel sponsor, Crunch Time. You got Will, you got TJ, and you have Keith. TJ, take it away.
The nonsense is over. It's time to get serious and break down the 6-game NBA DFS slate, sponsored by FanDuel. If you're checking out FanDuel tonight, making some bets, you should go over there, because if you bet $5, you can get $150 in bonus bets for new users in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And we got some DFS going as well, not just some sports betting. And I'm joined by two of the sharpest minds in the biz. First up, Tasteful Tides. I've done so many shows with Tim lately that just came out of my mouth without thinking. Like, it was just routine, because every show I host is on the weekend with Tim. First up, Keith Eyster, the Iceman. How you doing?
Not too bad. Just a small little 6-gamer here. A couple of games with some wide spreads. So not the best DFS slate overall, but we're all working with the same pieces. We'll run through the plays and figure out how we can make some money tonight.
Will, usually when we're on a show together, it's the Sunday Night Football show and you're hosting. I don't have to worry about all these extra duties. I just get to hang out with you. I might have to get you to take over me if I keep calling people the wrong names. Chief, Will Justice, how you doing?
I am good, man.
I just did it. I said Will Justice instead of Will Priester. Oh my God, get me out of this hosting chair today. I'm not ready. Chief Priester, Will Justice. No.
I actually thought you were doing that on purpose. So I was like,
no, it wasn't. It literally wasn't. I'm
not
just Will Justice is a cool name though.
Yeah, I'm good, man. I like the slate. I think we can take some interesting stands and not give up all of our upside. So I'm real interested to hear how Keith is going to approach cash tonight. And I know it sounds crazy, right? But here's why I'm saying that. Cash actually drives these tournament winning lineups, I think, more than people think in terms of some of the chalk plays. And so that's why I'm real interested to hear how Keith is going to kind of build this thing out. Because I think for tournaments, there are a couple little spots that you can get involved in that might not be as obvious, but I'll reserve and let Keith do his thing.
We got it. I'm interested for cash games today and some help because I'm just playing the one lineup. I'm going to my sister's for dinner after this. And so I didn't want to have to deal with a bunch of different weight swaps. Luckily, we don't got too much news today, but Tim, I did it again. Damn. Oh my God. I'm going to flip. I couldn't flip my desk over without everything being disconnected. So I had to flip a water bottle instead. Keith, I need help in more ways than just cash games today. Help me break down this slate, and then we'll go position by position.
Yeah, it's an uncomfortable slate as far as value goes. So I'm completely with you. Like, it doesn't feel fun clicking on some of these guys. We'll say some names, but they're not necessarily comfortable plays. We are waiting on almost no news at all.
Which is very scary.
Right. Yeah. We'll talk about the Charlotte situation. The only questionable tag we have remaining is Markelle Fultz, and that's not really moving the needle much, even if he gets ruled out. So just got Trey Murphy out. Another one that doesn't really move the needle a ton. I mean, you can probably consider guys like Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram in cash, but I prefer other spots. The Charlotte situation, we had Terry Rozier out of projections as of this morning. There were some reports that he was ill and not going to play today. Then he got the midday upgrade to probable. Charlotte is notoriously fishy with their injury reporting. So, I mean, that's something that could potentially entirely change the slate. Listed as probable, we're expecting him to play, but I would be monitoring that a little bit. Maybe backload your lineups a little bit so you have a little maneuverability late in the slate if something fishy were to happen. But they also have Gordon Hayward out and Mark Williams with his forever doubtful tag. Certainly don't expect him to play. But I think the Charlotte situation is the only thing that could really change what we're looking at right now.
Smash the like button for us. We got Steve in chat helping us pump it up. And that's not just Steve's job. It's my job too. And it's all of yours. Free content here on a Wednesday. We want to keep all of these shows free and giving out as many of them as possible. It helps us battle the YouTube algorithm when we get those likes. Keith. Got it. Nailed it. Start us off at the point guard position on our wonderful sponsor, FanDuel.
Yeah, over here on FanDuel, Noto has two core tags, Domantas Sabonis being the first one. Certainly agree with that over here on FanDuel where Embiid is priced up. It is a little bit more of a conversation, I think, on DraftKings. But on FanDuel, I think Sabonis is your primary spend up. And then we have Trace Jackson Davis for the Warriors in a new role. Has been getting the start here recently at the 5 with Draymond Green suspended. So he is underpriced for his current role. Certainly makes sense as a core tag. Going through some positional stuff here. We'll start at the point guard. I think that you're probably saving some money with Chris Paul. Looks like the best option here. Another guy who's kind of new to the starters role. 6,100, a very nice price. Tough matchup against Orlando, but Golden State is all a little bit underpriced with Paul. We'll talk about Wiggins and Jackson Davis I already mentioned as well. Your second spot, I think you could spend a little bit here. Tyrese Maxey has a decent price. Embiid is back, but Maxey actually doesn't get hurt that much by Embiid being in. It's a good matchup against Chicago. Slower paced team, but rough on the defensive end. If you had the money for a Ja Morant or De'Aaron Fox, they would be great. Personally, I did not have the money to get up there, so Maxey is looking like a really nice piece here. At the shooting guard position, I think you're definitely saving money here, so that we can spend up in other spots. The guy that is my first priority would be Malik Monk. 5,800, just does a ton, has an awesome matchup against Charlotte, who is the worst defensive team in the league. And then we're going to have some uncomfortable names to save you some money. Malachi Branham is starting and playing a bunch of minutes for the Spurs. Luke Kennard, another really uncomfortable one, but I think you're looking in that low 4K range, and those are the two guys. I think Branham just from a minutes perspective, Kennard from a guy who can make a couple of threes and give you just enough at that low 4K price tag. I think you're definitely playing one of those guys here. And then at the small forward position, DeRozan is playing a ton of minutes. I think that he certainly makes sense as another spend up type. Chris Duarte has recently jumped into the starting lineup. Not a comfortable click either. Super cheap though, 3,700. A weak small forward position. The minutes are all over the place. He doesn't do a ton while he's out there, but a guy starting at under 4K, I think he makes sense for cash game. Would definitely be concerned about the ceiling though for tournaments. If you're not playing Branham or Kennard at the shooting guard position, you could consider those guys here at the small forward position as well. Herb Jones does look a little bit better now with Trey Murphy out. If you have the money to get up to him, I would prefer him over Branham or Kennard. At the power forward position, Sabonis is a core play. You're definitely locking him in. Awesome matchup against Charlotte. They are always susceptible against big men. Great spot for him. Mentioned Jackson Davis as well, new to the starting role, just 5,600. He definitely makes sense. I think power forward is one of the easier spots to fill out for your cash games. And then at the center position, Nick Claxton played a ton of minutes in the last game, projected for 31 here against the Pelicans. So I definitely like him. If you got a little bit of extra money, I don't mind Jaren Jackson.
I like it. Will, I got it. See everybody? I know everybody's names. Will, take me through some tournament takes. You mentioned you got a few ways to get different here today without sacrificing too much projection. One of those that I was thinking of, like if you need to get really cheap, just as like a straight kind of basically straight line pivot at a different position to get off some chalk would be Trey Lyles instead of Chris Duarte. He could end up getting more minutes depending on how this game goes, and it's a much lower owned version of almost the same player, just not starting. But I'm letting you guys handle most of the takes today because I did not break down the slate at the same level as I usually do. So, Will, take us through some tournament takes starting at the point guard position.
Yeah, so at point guard, it's getting real interesting for me, and let me tell you why I say that. This isn't going to feel good in tournaments, but I think one of these Orlando guys is going to pop, man. Is it Fultz? Is it Cole Anthony? I know Cole Anthony's in this weird minutes thing right now, but this should be a competitive game. If Cole Anthony gets 25 minutes, like he could absolutely put up fantasy points in the 30s. So that's just me kind of playing the field and trying to get a little bit different here, at the point guard position on the low end. On the high end, I think Terry Rozier is actually a really good tournament play at 9K. I know Keith was talking about the experimental Charlotte injury report, and folks, just so you know, I mean, this injury report didn't come out for them. It was 3:30. I'm looking. There's nothing available. Like, I don't know what they were doing, but finally, I think, we got some type of info that he is going to play at 9K. If we're going to stay in this game, I definitely think Terry's got to contribute. You're not going to like it, but I think it's the right call here in what should be an up and down game. The one guy that didn't play last night, and even if they're getting blown out some, I think he will still get some minutes. I do like Spencer Dinwiddie at the point guard position as well. Slightly tougher matchup with the Pelicans. However, I like the fact that Cam Thomas has gone to the bench. And so now these starters, if you look at the starters' minutes, it looks like to me, and I'm playing a little bit of I'm doing a little bit of forecasting here, Keith and TJ, a little bit of forecasting. It feels like this Brooklyn starting five are the 35-minute guys, and now the bench is going to be the 20 to 25-minute guys. And if that's the case, at 7,100 for Dinwiddie on FanDuel, projection's not great, I get it, but he's got 40, 50-point upside if he's going to get these type of minutes. Should be a competitive game. Like him a lot in tournaments as well. We talked about Maxey 8,700. Definitely don't like that. Don't mind going back to the well on Kobe White. Also in that mid-range, he's a guy that had been playing really well. Andre Drummond's in there. I know it's going to cut into some of his rebounding possibly, but this is the guy that we saw crank out 40 to 50, for a nice little stretch here, and he still got the same situation. So I'm perfectly fine rolling with Kobe White. And then at the top of the list for me, I think what you're doing, if you try to pull this off, basically what I'm committing to is no Joel Embiid at center. I think SGA is a great play. At 11-3, I think nobody wants to play him tonight. And once again, not only is he scoring over 30 a game, but the peripheral stats as well, rebounds and assists have come into play for him this season. So let's say he's scoring 35, but he's putting together 5 or 6 rebounds, 6 or 7 assists, which is helping his upside. I don't think he's going to get a lot of ownership. Yes, he's expensive, but he's earned this price tag. And if this game's close, he's going to have a lot to do with it. So like him on the top. But once again, I think if you're playing SGA, what I'm committing to is not playing Embiid in those lineups.
I like it. I think that makes a lot of sense. Let's pivot over to DraftKings here.
Well, let me plug in a couple more pieces.
Okay, sorry. I thought you kind of included it all at once. I heard Embiid
No.
I got confused. Let's take it over through the other positions though. That's my bad, Steve.
Now
you got to double flip back now.
Yeah, I'll do it all encompassing here. Definitely think you want to play Andrew Wiggins, Trace Jackson Davis. He might be a necessary.
You don't got to hurry though. We got lots of time. I just screwed up once again. Like you don't feel like you got to rush through it.
Okay, yeah. So. Well, I'll hop around here, but I've kind of got this handful of plays I like. So PJD, most obvious play on the slate, probably maybe a little bit more so on DraftKings than FanDuel, but I still think on FanDuel, like he's in play. Also that game, I like Andrew Wiggins. Really like Franz Wagner as well. He's a little bit more expensive on FanDuel, but I still like him on both sides. And Paolo. That's one of my favorite games of the night, by the way. Orlando, Golden State. That's kind of my game of the night. Looking at the Sacramento side, I do like the Aaron Fox and Sabonis and Malik Monk at 5,800. He's one of my favorites today. Talking about these Brooklyn guys, Nick Claxton, 7,300 on FanDuel. Once again, if these guys are going to be getting these minutes, I like him a ton. Brandon Ingram is a guy that I really like today for tournaments. I think, this is a really nice spot for him. And I think I talked about this on the morning grind last night. He's kind of been the stabilizing force out of this starting group, where a lot of times last season when we saw CJ, Ingram, Williamson, all these guys playing, we didn't kind of want to touch them. But Brandon Ingram is starting to separate himself as, hey, I'm the guy that's going to produce. Everybody else come along for the ride. So I like him a ton. And then I do love Embiid, but once again, if I'm playing Embiid, I'm not playing SGA. If I'm playing SGA, I'm not playing Embiid. I don't hate Andre Drummond. And here's why. Tough matchup tonight, having to deal with Embiid. But if there's one other player on this slate that might have 60, 70-point upside, it's got to be Andre Drummond, right? Like, I mean, he could crank out 60 fantasy points, and we're not going to be sitting here looking like, man, he got 60. Why didn't I play? It's like, well, yeah, that was absolutely in the cards. If he picks up 20 rebounds, 15, 20 points, a couple blocks, like he's real live to be in the tournament winner. So I like him a ton. And then also in the Boston Oklahoma City game, I do like Jason Tatum. I haven't played a lot of Tatum this season, but if the game's going to be competitive, I would take Tatum over any of these starters right now to be in the winning lineup, because everybody else is really priced up. And I think Tatum still has a lot more meat on the bone in terms of what his true upside could be. He could get to 60, 70 fantasy points, where everybody else I feel like could be capped in the mid 40s to 50. So like Jason Tatum. And then Keith, I like the Spurs, but I just gotta avoid the Spurs. But I'm very afraid to get popped right now with how they're running this rotation. I mean, I don't know.
It's a disaster with Wemby on a minutes restriction. Like it is a disaster to project Spurs
it's all over the place. So I like it if the Spurs had stable minutes. I really think Vassell and Keldon Johnson would all be good plays. But Keldon Johnson could play 25 minutes today. I don't know. So I'm just kind of avoiding the Spurs right now. But I do get like Branham being 4,400 feels like the least likely to burn you. Just because of the price. And that's kind of where I'm at today for tournaments on FanDuel.
All right. Before we swap it over to DraftKings, make sure you smash the like button, get your questions in. I'm going to the Discord live stream chat first, followed by the YouTube chat for some QQs. And I also wanted to bring out the all-new props and pick'em package. You can check out the brand new props and pick'em package over at RotoGrinders, where the experts on our projections team take our premium stats and comb through the market for any inefficiencies. Using our model, you can easily see which ones are off, where to find them, how likely the prop will hit based on our tool. Check out the link in our description for more info. And we got not only the two of the sharpest minds in the biz, but two of the sharpest minds on the props and pick'em team right here. Keith, big on the projection side of thing. Will, he's got the prop shop. Give us, do either of you have a prop for us tonight that you're liking in the NBA streets? I'll throw it to you first, Keith.
I didn't do much in the props streets for today. Go ahead and throw it to Will. I'll see if I can come up with something here real quick. I know Will's got some on deck for sure.
Oh my God, I got hundreds. Hundreds. Listen, I'm just gonna go down my list if that's all right. Keith, you cool with that?
Yeah, go for it, man. Shoot them off.
I'm just looking at everything I have. Okay, so just bear with me. So we got Franz Wagner at 5.5 rebounds. Got more than that projection. Jalen Suggs at 3.5. Got less than that projection. Chris Paul at 24.5 points, rebounds, assists. Our projections really love the under here. That's when I just kind of caught on our props and pick 'em tool. So I'm just going to roll with our projections here. So 24.5, I got less than that. Chet Holmgren was able to find him at 8.5 rebounds, want less than that. I do have one in for Jason Tatum at a double-double. I actually got less than the double-double there, since he's not going to get it. Got it at okay odds. Tyrese Maxey at 6.5 assists. I want less than that one. Joel Embiid, 17.5 assists and rebounds. Want less than that. Ja Morant, 6.5 rebounds. Want less than that. Nick Claxton, 23.5 points, rebounds, assists. Want more than that. Also have Claxton, 9.5 rebounds. Want more than that projection. And then I've got a host of others like Marcus Smart, 3.5 rebounds, less than that. What's it? Triple J at 6.5 rebounds, less than that. Like I said, guys, it's a lot. So I don't want to overload anyone. Brandon Ingram at 5.5. If you can still find that, he's probably like 4.5 now. But I was able to get him at 5.5. Some I got less than that one. Took some Jason Tatum at 8.5 rebounds, less than that. Jeremy Socon took some less than 6.5 rebounds. I also took Chris Paul at 9.5 assists. I took less than that one, but that was more of a projections play. The Chris Paul unders are really popping in projections today for what it's worth. So while he's starting, I'm just trusting the projections team here. And I think those are my main ones in the prop sheets. I know that's a lot. Sorry if you missed it, just rewind, but those are some of the ones I have today, or most of them.
Could be Travis in chat says, I get the notepad out when Chief starts dropping props, and that's the smart thing to do. It just drop quick thing, sketch them all down, and then go out there and get the bet in after that. Keith, you got a lot to follow that up with. Give me one juicy one.
Yeah, I just want to shout out the squad ride pick. If you guys aren't in the Discord in the squad rides channel, like that's something that you need to be doing. It's a ton of fun. Today we're on Jason Tatum over 26.5 points. Dean was talking about how he thinks they're going to play this game like a playoff game. Two of the best teams in the NBA. Minutes could be elevated in this spot. So tough matchup against OKC, but Tatum has a chance to play 40 minutes in this spot. Ride with us on Jason Tatum over 26.5.
And listen to this, folks. Now, I'm not telling you to do this, but Keith, sometimes I like to get in these, what I call these lotto slips. If all the underdogs win tonight, you're getting like plus 328,000. So I just put $1.50 in for all the dogs. So that means OKC, Brooklyn, San Antonio, Charlotte, Orlando, and Chicago. If some weird thing happens with the moon and you turn your head to the left, just right, and they all win, then that's $5K. But remember, this is like a better odds lotto ticket. It's $1.50. They all win, then it's $5K. I think it's worth $1.50 just in case. It's like insurance. It's there. If things go wrong for all the good teams or the teams that should win, then Chiefs can have a nice payday.
You can put $1.50 on that, or you can get $1.50 for a McDonald's coffee tomorrow morning. But let's rifle through DraftKings pretty quick here, because we do want to save some time for QQs. Take me through a DraftKings cash build here. Almost did it. Pulled back, Keith. I usually have Tim and Taylor every weekend show that I host, but I pulled it back because I am professional. Take me through a DraftKings cash build here, Keith, because I'm stuck on two different builds, and I'm going to be honest, that's probably going to be our first QQ, is me asking which of the 3v3s I should do.
Fair enough. I do think it's a decision over here between Joel Embiid, who's only 11K, and Domantas Sabonis at 9,700. Noto has Sabonis tagged as the core play, so we're going to ride with him on this build. I certainly get it. Embiid, I feel like, is a very safe cash play as well. Obviously, one of the best fantasy producers in the entire league, but that matchup for Sabonis, it is juicy tonight, so can't fault Noto for tagging Sabonis in this spot. Obviously, a little bit of blowout risk, but I mean, Sabonis can absolutely smash in like 28 minutes here in this spot. So save a little bit of money, plug Sabonis in there first. We're going to ride with Noto on this one. And then Trace Jackson-Davis, the other core tag over here, just makes way too much sense in the starting lineup. Only 4,600 on DK. So an even better play than he was over on FanDuel. But we'll just go ahead and break it down position by position here. At the point guard position, again, starting with Chris Paul, another guy new to the starting lineup, just too cheap for his current role. Even with some unders popping, the projection for fantasy looks really good at 5,600 here on DK. Josh Giddey, I think, is in the conversation. Hasn't been getting a ton of minutes, but he's a decent producer while he's out there. Mentioned maybe minutes get elevated a little bit in this game, so certainly think that he's in play. A couple other guards. You can play at shooting guard as well. I think the Duarte stuff you don't have to quite worry about as much now with Najee Marshall popping a good amount with Trey Murphy out. So if I'm for my like punt type player, I definitely prefer Marshall over Duarte. But Duarte is 4K over here if you want to do that instead. Malik Monk has a nice price on DK as well. And if you're going a little bit different, I think Desmond Bane is in a pretty good spot here against the Spurs. Has been fine, even better almost with John Morant back. So Bane at 8,200, I think is in cash consideration as well. Small forward position, Franz Wagner looking very good. Great matchup here against Golden State, just 7,500. Should play mid-30s minutes. Good spot for him. Lou Dort in that hopefully close game environment with Boston, I think is a good way to save some money. Or Andrew Wiggins playing off the bench, but still getting mid-20s minutes. Good spot for him. Could see a decent amount of run here up into the upper 20s in minutes potentially. So like the price for Andrew Wiggins as well. Power forward position, Najee Marshall, the guy I mentioned, 3,900 is too good of a price. Should play somewhere around 20 minutes with no Trey Murphy. Definitely solidifies his playing time a little bit there with Murphy out. If you can get up to Zion, I think he's in a good spot. Paolo is another guy. Probably wouldn't play him if you're playing Franz. Just don't want two Magic in the same lineup necessarily. Can play Wiggins at power forward as well. And then at the center position, if you're not playing Embiid, it's Sabonis for sure. I think those are your like that's a decision you make first. Do you want to go up for Embiid or do you want to go up for Sabonis? And that's really the only two I'm considering for cash. Triple J, if you want to play him at the center position, would be fine, but I'd just prefer to get up to Sabonis or Embiid.
That's the question that I'm really trying to. I'm torn between the two here, and it's the 3v3. It's centered around Embiid and Sabonis, but do I go Embiid, Herb Jones, and Paolo Banchero, or do I go Sabonis, Franz Wagner, and Jaren Jackson Jr.? if you're rolling with Noto and Sabonis, I'm rolling with it too. And so I have the right now, the one I have in is the Wagner, Sabonis, and Jaren Jackson Jr. side.
That's the side I'm on slightly. Just save that little bit of money, and that allows you to get some upside with a guy like Triple J. I think that's where I'm leaning as well. But it is very close today.
And as much as I'd rather have Banchero instead of Wagner. That's pretty close to a toss up. With 60% chance Banchero outscores Wagner probably. I'm rolling with it. Let's do it. Chief, take me through some of your tournament takes here, starting at point guard, taking me through center.
Well, what I will say is most of my stuff on DK is going to be about the same as FanDuel tonight, which isn't usual, but it's pretty close. What I'm going to do is just tack on the ones that I feel like are different, if that's okay, TJ. And so one of the ones for me that's a little bit different on DraftKings and FanDuel, this is me kind of playing the let's hope I'm right game. It's Jose Alvarado at 3,500. Like, the projection isn't like crazy on him. It's not about that. It's just about, hey, what if he does get 20 to 25 minutes here? Like, at 3,500, I'm willing to roll the dice on Alvarado in a tough spot. Not tough spot, good matchup, competitive games. Let me say that. So Alvarado is one that I really want to get in tonight. Wendell Carter Jr. on DraftKings is another one that I like. Once again, he's probably capped at 25 minutes too, but I'm really just kind of playing the matchup here. 5,200. Like, we saw him get a slight minutes bump last start. If we can get him to 25 minutes, he's another guy that right situation, couple things fall his way. He could be in that mid-30s fantasy point range. Now, look, I think they're being careful with him. That's something else we talked about in the morning grind last night, but I still want to stick to that call. I think, the one day he gets 28 minutes, like, we're going to miss it if we don't attack. So at 5,200, like, he's big time in play for me. I do think Marcus Smart on DraftKings, where he's 5,800, probably has a little bit more value to me, facing the Spurs today. Still like SGA, where he's a little over 10K on DraftKings. I know I said I wouldn't cover him. I'm just covering him again. And then we've got Oubre at 5,800 on DraftKings. A little bit cheaper than FanDuel. Definitely think if he can get rolling with the 3-ball tonight, that little 0.5 bonus, he hits a couple of threes, could really help us out. So those are some of my extras in addition to what we talked about on FanDuel.
All right, I like it. Chief, I'm coming to you with the very first question. We got one from the YouTube chat and one from the Discord that are very much the same. First one's asking, who's your favorite large field cheap value play? Essentially, who do you think is the good chalk? And then on YouTube, it's asking, out of Nats, Jackson Davis, Luke Kennard, Cody Martin, and Jose Alvarado, who's your favorite cheapish punt? So maybe who's your favorite kind of good chalk punt, and then who's your favorite off the wall one?
Trace is probably the good chalk, man. If he's going to get 30 minutes, like, well, I can't. We just have to eat the chalk today with him for what it's worth. It's 4,600 on DraftKings, 5,600 on FanDuel, and on a slate where you're kind of starving for value, I think you just have to play him, and I'll live with the results. In terms of what might become new chalk, it's probably Najee. Like, Najee's probably the new chalk that's probably pretty good. I think,
I love your Alvarado call. As a pivot off of Najee, I think Alvarado really, really strong. Like, if Najee only gets 18 minutes, you could see Alvarado running out there for 18 or 20 as well.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I was going to say. But my kind of sneaky non-chalk cheat guys for sure going to be Alvarado tonight. Yep.
FanDuel, DK, GPP, Cam Thomas, or Cam Johnson, Will?
Right now, I got to roll with. So, okay. God, I hate because I know we're getting close. Cam Thomas has got stupid usage off the bench right now. I think both are viable. Cam Johnson is probably going to play 35 minutes. So I think you got to decide, do you want to weigh the usage versus the minutes? I think I'm going to go with the minutes of Cam Johnson, but I don't. That's just going to be my divider right now.
All right, I got a 4v4 coming to you, Keith. Are you ready? This is for single entry.
Let's do it.
Chet, Sabonis, Paolo, and Triple J.
Pretty good.
Or Paolo's in both. So 3v3. Chet, Sabonis, and Triple J, or Embiid, TJD, and Kuminga?
Give me the first one there. That saving the little bit of money with Sabonis gets you upside at the other two. I like it.
It really does. DK, GPP, last piece, Chief, Lou Dort or Cody Martin?
Give me Cody Martin.
FanDuel Cash, Keith, Tatum and Claxton, or Embiid and Najee?
Tatum and Claxton.
DK, GPP, I have Embiid, Marcus Morris, or Anthony Black, Chief?
Neither, but if I had to choose right now, just find somebody else. I don't like either of those guys.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. FanDuel Cash, Najee Marshall, Luke Kennard, or Malachi Branham?
Najee.
A lot of switching over to the YouTube chat, lots of variations of TJ needs to have more drinks. TJ needs to drink less. The only type of substance I put in myself today is Dayquil. I keep waking up in the morning with some really bad cold symptoms, and then by the afternoon I'm fine, but maybe it was too much Dayquil today. Chris Paul or Josh Giddey on FanDuel, Keith?
Chris Paul. Definitely more minutes there.
Embiid or Ja for DK tournament, Will?
Got to be Embiid, man. He's just coming back, but he's scotched. The ceiling is ridiculous.
Yahoo single entry, Keith, Gideon Smart or Caruso and Derek White?
Probably lean Gideon Smart there.
DK GPP, Will, how are we feeling about Marcus Smart today?
Yep, don't hate it. 5,800, a little bit better price than FanDuel. Playing the Spurs. Don't hate it.
DK GPP, Keith, Franz Wagner or Jaren Jackson Jr.?
Really like them both today. Give me Franz, though.
Yeah.
How many minutes? We're going lightning round. 2 minutes left here to lock. Make sure you get your lineups in. How many minutes is Gary Harris projected for? 22. How do you feel about Porzingis in tournaments on FanDuel, Chief?
Just okay. I would prefer Tatum.
Monk or CP3 in one lineup, Keith?
Give me CP3.
2v2, DK, Dorton, McCollum, or Beverly and Ingram, Will?
Beverly Ingram.
Cole Anthony and Zion or Monk and JJJ? That's Monk and JJJ. DK Viable and DK GPP? Yes, he is. DK GPP last piece, Pat Bev or Biyombo, Will?
Oh, Pat Bev. I don't like
Ingram or
him.
Drummond in cash, Keith?
Ingram.
Kuminga or Brandon Miller in a GPP on FanDuel, Will?
Kuminga.
DK Cash last piece, DeRozan or Maxey, Keith?
Maxey.
And with that, we have nailed all the questions. We have not quite hit lock. It should turn to 7 o'clock at any second. Great job, everybody. Great. We had a tough start to the show. Not we. Just me, but we're all a team here. So we had a tough start to the show. And we came back and we finished strong. So good luck to everybody. Smash that like button on your way out. Happy New Year if this is your first show with us since the new year. And we will be back tomorrow for some more NBA content as well. Last question here before we get out of here. Thoughts on Steph and Chris Paul both in the point guard spot on FanDuel Cash, Keith?
In cash, I think it's okay because you're not necessarily needing a massive ceiling. What site was it? Steph's a little bit overpriced on FanDuel. Let me see what Steph's price.
He's 85.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I think it's viable.
And so who are the options around the same? Like, so it's, I guess your thought process is if you have $200 more, definitely go to Maxey. But if you don't, it's fine.
Yes, exactly right.
Cool. On behalf of myself, Will, Keith, the proper names, our wonderful sponsor, FanDuel, and everybody at RotoGrinders, Steve, behind the scenes, doing a great job as per usual. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We will see you tomorrow. Peace.